Today I'm going to talk about conversation experiences that build connections. So what I'm going to cover is how experience is important in today's digital transformation, and what all you can do, how you can evolve, how you can make your customer journey better, on that path. So one important thing is today people buy experience. They don't buy products. You go to the leading coffee shop today. What you get is experience. Yep. So because enhancing the product, enhancing the ambience is all a part of building experience for people. You visit a leading bank and you compare it with any other bank, maybe a tier 3, tier 4 bank. What do you see? The products are more or less same, but there is a difference in the set of experience that you get there. Yeah. Similarly, airlines, other industries as well. Majority of the brands today are working to build the products in a way that experience can be enhanced for people. Yep. Okay, so looking at the digital transformation, how the today's world has evolved. So we are in 2022, and how we have evolved so far. So we have got close to about more than 6 billion devices today connected on the internet. This is not working. Yeah. More than 6 billion devices now connected onto internet. Facebook in 2006 was just an application, a platform for college students to connect. Post that, it was released for everyone. And today, it has got close to 3 billion active users monthly. And we all know how important Facebook is in our life today. Yep. Similarly, YouTube, 2006, YouTube was just out of beta. Google bought it. And today you have got, again, close to about 2.5 billion active users monthly for viewing content on YouTube. 2007, iPhone was launched. Yep, the smartphone era actually began. And by end of 2022, we should have more than 6.6 billion smartphone users in the world. Similarly, one more product was created few years back. And it is also exactly following the same chain. That's WhatsApp. More than 100 billion message exchanges that happen, and close to 2 billion active users who interact on this platform every day. There are some interesting statistics that I wanted to show you today. 67% of the people are checking their phones within the first 5 minutes of starting their day. Yeah. Devices have become so important in their life. 90% people will have at least one messaging app by 2023. Yep. 70% of customer interactions will include chatbot messaging by end of 2022. So this is the direction where we are heading, and this is the direction where we like to be present. So one question for all of you: what's driving this transformation? Would anyone want to answer this? Connectivity is one.
Communication.
Ease of communication, right?
You want to stay connected.
Sorry?
People want to stay connected.
People want to stay connected, exactly. Smartphone penetrations, addictions, availability, seamless availability, which is there today. Yeah. So with the rise of mobile and messaging, the device is in your hand, the reach is there with the consumer, and the transformation journey actually begins. Yep. So that's the focus that we want to have today. Some more interesting data. People prefer to chat and not talk. Today, if you look at the leading vehicle rental service provider, they have moved away from the traditional contact center model. They only want to interact through messaging. The leading food delivery app today, all they want to do is they want to chat with customer. In case you have a problem, you can reach out to them through a chat. Yeah. So there are a lot of startups also who have decided to take this path, take this journey, wherein, you want to reach us or we want to reach you, let's do it via chat. And chat is more convenient, chat is scalable, and the ease is actually there. So statistics says that 64% people unlikely to download an app. So if you ask someone, if you want to get in touch with me, you have to download an app specifically. Just imagine so many brands we use today, what will happen? Our smartphone will be flooded with applications if each brand decide to promote their applications only for getting in touch with the customer, if there is no other purpose beyond that. 59% would choose messaging instead of emailing. So emailing is very traditional channel of communication. It still exists. It is an important channel to reach out, but still, other channels like chat apps are taking over that. 53% said would rather chat with a customer support than a call. Today, the experience on a call center is not very great all the time. A lot of efforts have to go behind that to ensure that it's seamless again. Because what happens is, um, you either there is a long queue waiting, or the call flow is such that you get confused on the IVR, where to go, where not to go. The costing is very heavy on both the sides. The consumer also has to spend a lot of time reaching out to that number is not always possible. So consumers say that, okay, I'll rather chat than getting on a call. Now, this is how we can convert the challenges into opportunities. Like we saw, people prefer messaging, but not all businesses are ready to accommodate this change. So it's pretty important for the businesses to be ready today. We showed how the paradigm shift is happening. Now, what is important is we have to be there. So the customers are there, willing to move. So the businesses also have to take in their stride and plan something so that they can build applications which support that. People expect convenience. That's very true. Just imagine, like I gave the application example, if all brands ask you to download an application, check your mail, get some OTPs from there again, or get some coupon codes or something from there, put it in the application, then you go to one more step, do something more than that. It's so complicated, and it's so tiring. The consumers might not do it. So in case of WhatsApp, what happens is, you have everything what you need on a single platform. The channel is created. You can implement your use cases seamlessly, and you can create the entire journeys that you want over WhatsApp. Customers demand seamless experience. SMS as a channel or email as a channel has a limited experience model in terms of there is only limited services that you can provide via these two channels. These are traditional channels. They have evolved with time, but there is a certain limitation in the nature of how these channels operate. But WhatsApp can take over these channels, and they can bring the difference to you and your business. Again, some more data pointers. WhatsApp, like I mentioned, there are 2 billion active monthly users in 180 countries, sending 100 million messages a day. 70% of WhatsApp users check it daily. Again, from an engagement standpoint, majority of people in this room, I'm sure every 10 minutes, 15 minutes, today the trend is like, if you meet someone, they say DM me, just drop something on WhatsApp. So the message word, in fact, is fading out. It's WhatsApp or a DM kind of a thing, trend which is coming in now. 175 million people message to a WhatsApp business account. Now, there are WhatsApp business account is different from a personal account. So there are 175 million people messaging a WhatsApp business account today already. Now, this is a loop which I'm going to show you. So what WhatsApp does is, WhatsApp help you engage the customer at an engagement stage. When the customer is at an engagement stage, where you want to send notification, alerts, we want to run some campaigns, you can start with that. You can have that feature there. You can convert your customers on WhatsApp. You can complete a purchase journey on WhatsApp for your customers. You can run retention services for your customer on WhatsApp. Yep. So this can be done on a vanilla WhatsApp. You can have a chatbot services enabled. You can have other services which go over and above the WhatsApp platform, icing on the cake kind of. And you can just go through this flow, right? Why customers love WhatsApp? See, like I mentioned, WhatsApp is already present on your device. You need not download a separate application. You are using it. The UI is user-friendly. You are well versed with the UI. You don't need to learn. For messaging with your family, friends is already happening. Now, messaging business will be no different for you. You will already know what has to be done, how it has to be done. So that's a very relaxing thing. And the adoption, that's why, is pretty good on this. It's one-on-one. Like again, no waiting, nothing. You just chat. You get a response system with a bot being present. Conversational. It's asynchronous, and like I mentioned, it's a platform which people love. Yep, because it's being used daily. Uh, I want to take you through some journeys I've just covered, but just putting it on the board so that there is a recall value on this. Uh, Say for pre-purchases, the use cases for which WhatsApp can be used. This is happening in the industry. People are doing this, so we just wanted to throw this across to you, saying that you can be present in any of the use cases that suits you. For a pre-purchase, suppose you want to send how to use the product, you want to send demo videos, you want to send usage videos, you want to send warranty information, you want to send a store locator, map, anything on a pre-purchase stage, you can do that. On the purchase stage, you can send a catalog, you can send a purchase link, you can complete the payment using WhatsApp. Yep. On the post purchase, again, you can have your delivery confirmations, your shipping confirmations, and your order details, return details. Everything can be interacted using WhatsApp as a channel. Loyalty, again, from a retention perspective as well, to increase the bonding with the customer, you can use this channel wherein you send your membership programs. You can run your membership programs, you can run your campaigns around that, loyalty campaigns. So for all that, WhatsApp can be used seamlessly. Now you must be thinking, we have understood, okay, WhatsApp can be used for what all purposes. Now, how do we go about it? Suppose we want to start WhatsApp as a service. So how do we do it? Is it complicated? Can it be done by us? Definitely, it can be used by all the businesses. The process is pretty simple. There is something called as a sender registration, which needs to be done, which can be done in a day. The validation takes sometimes a little longer because it has to be approved by Meta directly. But the process is very simple. You can either choose where the sender can be hosted by Infobip, or it can be hosted by Meta over a cloud API. Yep. In the integration, it's a very simple integration process. It's not at all complicated. If you are integrated on SMS already, then this is no different. It's not complicated at all. You connect with Infobip via HTTP REST APIs. These are technical terms. If someone is not able to understand, I'll just tell you it's very simple. If you just take this to your IT guy, your IT guy will explain you how simple is this. Then, depending on whether you want to have a contact center solution built over it, or you want to have a chatbot built over it, you can do all that depending on your use case, your scope of work. That's again your call. Once that is done, you're live. You can just go ahead and interact with your customers, and the customer journey begins there for you. This is a global map in terms of how vastly WhatsApp has spread itself, and whatever you see in green, WhatsApp is already there. WhatsApp users will grow by 112% by 2025. That's the prediction. 112% than what it is right now. This is about Infobip. I represent Infobip. So Infobip is an organization which is present in more than 70 countries. We have more than 40 data centers, more than 3,500 employees. And we provide CPaaS solutions and SaaS solutions. Our solutions are very robust. Our solutions can be integrated very easily. They are completely customizable, and they're reliable. So we work on the principles. Our founding principles are innovation, integrity, impact, and trust. Yeah, we are certified by all security regulations. We are completely compliant, so there will be no problem in terms of dealing with Infobip. These are some logos that work. These are some brands that work with us in different industries. From finance, we have these brands, global brands working with us. These are from retail and e-commerce. These are from technology and communications. These are from healthcare and government. transportation, logistics, hospitality, travel. Yeah, coming to the coming to what matters, where the business lies. So this is not specific to any industry, any specific region. This is a global data we like to present. Um there is an 82% increase in the customer satisfaction score. Yep, when they work with us, 78% increase in the agent productivity that customers have come back to us saying that we have observed great results. There's 50% reduction in cost because what happens is we co-build with the customers. So that's the way we operate. 50% decrease in customer service workload, 80% click-through rates, and 115% increase in revenue. So that's how we deliver. Yeah. There's a small AV which I would like to play. Yep. Okay, so that's all from my side. Yep. Thank you. As promised, I tried to deliver well in time so that your lunch is not delayed. We have a fireside chat which we want to start with Rudhira. And before that, any questions? Yeah, sure.
This is Aditya.
Hi, Aditya.
I work with the Intimate Healthcare.
Okay.
So the question that I wanted to ask you was, you said that Am I audible?
Yeah.
So you said that the registration to approval TAT is pretty simple, right?
Mm-hmm.
Is that true for like all kinds of brands, or is it specific to a category of brands, especially when it comes to healthcare?
Mm-hmm.
WhatsApp is not very lenient,
Mm-hmm.
right?
Mm-hmm.
So what do you see around that space?
Okay.
Right, that's one. And secondly, like, do you also help procure the WhatsApp business number on
Mm-hmm.
behalf of the brand and sort of operate it yourself?
Mm-hmm.
So that is
Okay.
my question for you.
So that's a very valid point that you made. In terms of healthcare, WhatsApp has been slightly restrictive. Today, I'll give you an example. Doctors don't send prescription over WhatsApp. Rather, there are other applications which are there. Say, for example, Practo, if I can name. They send the prescriptions over that because from a regulatory standpoint, there are certain guidelines which they have to adhere to, and so WhatsApp is very selective because what happens is it's a message which is going to a consumer, to a mass consumer, and if a wrong message goes through, and especially from a healthcare brand which is very trusted today, and people take it very seriously, and there can be issues with that. That's why our experience has been they look at the scope of work in terms of what is the intent behind sending that message. So the brand creation can be done, that's not a challenge, but the templates are verified in terms of what is the reason for sending, which kind of customers are you going to send, at what point in time this message will go to the consumer. So if all that are checked and they agree to that, then they approve it. So we have seen maybe 50% to 60% get approved. There are certain templates, close to about 40%, which gets rejected as well. And once rejected, what Infobip does is Infobip works with WhatsApp and the client to restructure that in such a way. There might be the way it's constructed, the template, there might be an issue with that. So we help restructure that message and we take it to WhatsApp. And we also, if required, we get WhatsApp and the client on a common platform to understand and discuss. That's what Infobip does. Yeah. Sorry, the second question.
So, like, number one is with respect to templates, right? So let's say if you give them 10 templates, they'll reject X percentage out of it. How about the brand itself getting rejected or the approval getting delayed by like months? Has that happened to you?
Yeah. So sometimes in some cases the approval, because like I mentioned, this till the time this process is completed, they don't approve the brand. So they check the templates which are associated with that. We come across certain brands, and it's not only specific to healthcare. There are other verticals as well, wherein we have seen that sometimes WhatsApp takes time to approve because they want to be 100% sure. Uh, Many a times this happens when it's an industry first use case. No one has done it till now. What they also do is they do a global check in terms of how it is happening elsewhere, so that they don't want to be wrong. And that is the reason why, see, WhatsApp had not started promotional messaging because they didn't want their platform to be cluttered and used in a wrong fashion. So they have been slightly conservative only from that perspective. But yes, there have been cases where the delays have been for a couple of months as well. But that is only because those are new use cases, complicated use cases. From healthcare, they have been conservative again. That's what I would like to say. Yeah. Thanks. Yeah. Yeah. Sure. Yeah.
This can be used only for transactional purposes, or it can be used for promotional one way also. You subscribe to it and then
Uh-huh.
so can it be used for only transactional?
Yeah. So you can use it for transactional. So if the consumer has given an opt-in for you, suppose he's an existing consumer of yours and you want to send them with some updates or something. So say for example, a leading movie ticket collector today, what they do is you go to on their platform, you book their tickets, and you get the tickets via WhatsApp. Next time, whenever there is a new movie, now you're their customers, so you have got you have given them an opt-in to send you explicit communications also. So next time, whenever there is a movie in the same genre which you have booked last time, so they send you content saying, "Hey, you want to book? The link is here." So you can do that. So, but you need the opt-in from the customer, because again, they don't want to clutter the platform, saying that they don't want to use it as a messaging platform wherein you just broadcast promotional content to
So,
customers.
for for candidate acquisition or
Mhm.
user acquisition,
Mhm.
if he has opted in, like subscribed to them,
Yeah.
I think that has stopped in between. I had a discussion. So if the person has allowed broadcast, then
Mhm.
the content can be anything, or again that is vetted by
So that's vetted by WhatsApp in
By
terms of what's the
WhatsApp.
nature of the message and how it is structured. So it depends on that as well. Yep. Yep. Sorry.
What is the opt-in benchmarks
Uh,
approximately?
Opt-in benchmarks, as in, sorry.
Like what percentage of users usually opt in? Is there a benchmark?
So it depends purely on how you collect your opt-ins. There are many brands which explicitly tell the customer that we are collecting an opt-in for WhatsApp communication. Do you want to be in touch? Say a leading apparel brand. What they do is they tell the customer at the time of billing, you'll get the bill via WhatsApp and your communications will come by WhatsApp. Is it okay? So the customer says yes. They take an opt-in from the customer and then they send the message. So there are a lot of people. You go to a bank, you sign documents, you just tick mark, I've understood everything, and you go ahead. So there are a lot of brands which even follow that policy. You go to their webpage, you just give an okay, and then you're already registered with all the channels of communication they have. So it depends on how you take your opt-in. What is the nature of your product? What is the nature of your customer? Many customers might not understand what is an opt-in, but they want to receive messages via WhatsApp as well. So you might have to do a little bit of explaining there. A lot of large scale brands where they can't reach out to individual consumers, they do it via their websites or via emails and all, and they do it. There is something called as an auto opt-in also. Suppose you don't want to be reached out, then you have to come back to me. Otherwise, this will be taken as an auto acceptance kind of. So some brands follow that model also. Yeah. Yes. Sure.
So, through WhatsApp business, which media do you think has the higher click-through rates or higher adoption from the customers, like from text to voice to image to video?
Mhm.
Which media actually has higher receptives or click-through rates from the customers?
So anything which is digital in format, see, you can SMS is very traditional in nature. It's more of text, and SMS channel is already cluttered. Like in your inbox, you get maybe 100 messages a day. Majority of them are your transactional banking messages or your reminders or your promotional content coming in. So digital, so that channel. So what happens is, even if a communication goes through that channel, the customer might not see it, or even after seeing it, he might not wish to open it or read it. Digital communication channels are more fancy in nature. They are attractive. they catch eyeballs. So what happens is they would like to open and see the way you present. So very quickly, there is something called as a rich content messaging also. So wherein it lands in your inbox, but the way it's present, it's very different. That's another channel. So we have observed since last 1 year, there has been a lot of adoption. The click rates are, the CTRs are around 130%, 140%. So again, digital channels have more adoption. If that's the question, yeah, digital channels wherein you can share more information in a very fancier way. Yeah. Sorry, there was a question somewhere there. Yeah.
There were certain set of numbers.
Yeah.
There were certain set of numbers that you presented where you talked about there being 50% reduction in cost, 80% CPR, and 150% in revenue. Help me understand how do you come down to these numbers? What are these numbers? Cost and what cost?
Okay. So these are operating costs from the customer standpoint. So if the customer was traditionally using different individual channels of communication in silos, what we do is we give an omni-channel platform wherein the channels are integrated on the same platform, and the journey is created for the customer. So you might happen to reach out the same consumer multiple times for the same reason. So instead of that, now when you have a journey which is created, you know more things about the consumer, you have more insight about the consumer, you have the database, the analytics with you. You can pick and choose what has to be done. So your communication channels get streamlined. Yeah. So sorry. Yeah.
You mentioned that SMS has become very cluttered.
Yeah.
How long will it take for WhatsApp to become?
Very valid question. So, see, that is the reason WhatsApp has been holding back the promotional messaging. They have opened it. So they have opened it in certain regions. Now, what they're going to do is they're going to rework in terms of what templates are going through promotional as well. So there is some governance which they're going to bring in right now, which is not there in terms of promotional. They are trying to understand what kind of messages people want to send and what kind of messages are getting accepted. So what is happening is WhatsApp is constantly studying the report rates that are coming. So there is an option of marking spam also. You can report on WhatsApp also. So WhatsApp is taking that very seriously. Once they have some ground study in terms of what are the kind of messages which are getting rejected and all, they will try and stop those, saying that these kind of messages people don't want to receive. So then once that learning curve is there. So right now that is missing because it's one of its kind, and it had been only on email or SMS till now. But on WhatsApp, it's new, so even for them.
I heard that if your number gets spammed too often by customers, then WhatsApp will block you.
Yeah, it happens, but so there is a certain percentage threshold, which again depends on brand to brand and business to business, vertical, industry vertical, and everything are taken into consideration. Also, what they do is, so it's not like they get a spam percentage and they block it. What they do is, with intermediaries like us, they try to understand what is the message that they're sending, to revisit your templates, what templates you were sending. They try to understand what templates are getting blocked. They try and ask the brand to refrain from sending those templates, and then they observe for some time. And if everything is fine, then they understand that the problem was in the template, not with the brand. So that's how it is. Yeah.
Most brands will have one system which they're using for your purchase information to the customer. Valid communication, right? Now, if we also use that same number for promotional communication and we get marked as spam, do we run a risk of?
Yeah, so that's what we advise. So in the same, for the same thing, where a brand, when they speak to us, we generally advise to have two separate numbers. One, your primary support number, which has to be there, and secondary is your number which you can go through a WhatsApp thing or so. Because what happens is, when you WhatsApp someone, it's the logo and it's the name which comes. So people generally, they don't want to go there, click there, see what the number is, and use that. So any which ways number is irrelevant there. So it's only a channel where the communication has to go. Yeah. Yeah, that's a recommendation. Yeah, I'd like to give. Yeah.
I think we can take some of these now offline.
Maybe one more question, sir, in the interest of time for everyone. Yeah. Yeah, I'll be available. We can connect post this also. Yeah, one last
What
question.
kind of metrics can you measure once you do a campaign? Can you measure open rates, or can you measure how many people have read your message?
Yeah.
Or can you only measure how many people have clicked on a certain link or maybe replied?
So you can get the delivery analytics. Plus, you can embed many other things. You can have certain links which you can send. A call to action can be built on that.
What about open rates? I mean, let's say someone has opened and read your
Yeah,
message.
so
Not-
delivery and read thing you can get.
Read also.
You can get. Yeah. Sorry. Follow up. Yeah. Okay. One last question. Yeah. Sorry, I cannot hear you. Sorry.
The question is around which kind of media actually is going with higher, I would say, conversion, right? From text to audio to like image to a video within WhatsApp actually.
Okay. So I don't have an answer ready for that. Yeah.
But I'm sure that you guys can provide some details.
Yeah, sure. I can come back to you with answer to that. Yeah. Thank you. Okay, we have Rudhira with us. She has been patiently waiting. Can we have a round of applause for her? Yeah. Thank you.
Hi, can you guys hear me?
Okay. Rudhira, if you can quickly introduce yourself.
My name is Rudhira Sharma. I work with TVS Motor Company. I've been in the automotive sector
That's
for
right.
the past 10 years, majorly playing in customer relationship management. Currently, I take care of customer architecture.
Okay. So we'll quickly. So we have a customer now with us, and you will hear from the horse's mouth in terms of how the channel utilization and consumption is happening. So Rudhira, during the COVID crisis, we have seen that COVID has hit all the industries badly, and automotive is also one of it. So how do you see automobile industry recovering from this crisis presently?
Right. So, Nikhil, I think when the first wave of COVID hit in 2020, we were sort of anticipating that we're going to see degrowth, we're going to see a decline in volumes because certain sectors are traditionally very strongly and directly related with the GDP. So, while we knew that the GDP is plummeting, we anticipated that. What we did not anticipate was how quickly we will be able to recover from it. I think even before the second wave started, we started seeing an uptick in terms of consumer sentiments and in terms of sales and volumes right at the dealership. So sometimes, COVID jokingly is referred to as chief digitalization officer. And I think that is what happened with the auto sector because we stopped being coy about digital disruption. We stopped saying that, acha, digital disruption aa raha hai, and we admitted to ourselves that it's finally here. And as consumers, as executives and managers and as businesses, we adopted a lot of policies that
Okay.
allowed us to sort of go back to pre-COVID levels. As of now, we're still not back to pre-COVID, but that has got more to do with certain supplier and component issues rather than an impact of customer sentiment.
Okay, great. So it's a two-wheeler vertical, and how do you think a right balance can be struck between customer expectation and demand today?
I'm sure a lot of you would be reading a lot of white papers or listening to podcasts or reading blogs on digital transformation. And if you're like me, you sort of come away with a sense of doom. Everybody's saying that go digital and go digital now. But I, for one, am not for it. Not because digital disruption is not happening, but because I believe just because a threat is huge and large, the response does not have to be huge and large or ball busting. You can always take a step back, relax. Keep in mind that one of the things that gives you an advantage if you're a thriving business is that you know your customers. So keep your customers and customer facing processes at the center of whatever you do and ride the digital wave. So sort of like what we're doing with InfoWhip as well. Instead of going all crazy, like, when you start a new hobby, the first thing you do is just go shop like mad. You want to buy, if you're starting painting, you want to buy the best crayons or water paint and all of that. So I suggest with digital transformation, don't do that. Take a step back, talk to the experts, and in incremental basis, build up your processes.
Sure. So digital revolution has changed many things for many brands today. I'm sure even it has done the same thing with TVS Motors. So how do you think it has accelerated your efforts on the roadmap via WhatsApp?
On WhatsApp is something that we're very keen because, like you mentioned during your presentation, you said SMS is fading away. But for my sector, I would say SMS is dead. Email never picked up because majority of vehicles are in the commuter segment, and that segment in itself does not really respond, read, or interact with emails content too much. So that is when WhatsApp comes in spite of its stringent rules, like you spoke during your presentation, not inspired, but because of those stringent rules, it allows for a more meaningful and personalized communication. And that is something that we're very excited about.
Yeah.
Any brand would be, right, to have meaningful conversations without being without being on a platform that's just advertising left, right, and center.
So, talking about the future, how do you think this sector can prepare to serve the customer, say by 2030 or beyond that?
This is a very exciting time for the auto sector. I think in the next decade, we'll see a huge rise in EV, which is electric vehicles, and this will be sort of spearheaded and led by two-wheeler electric vehicles. There will be a lot more connected vehicles connected to different devices, which will also further down the line help companies like Zomato and Swiggy, because that would give you ride analytics and allow you for predictive maintenance of your vehicle even before the breakdown happens. On the customer experience front, I think AI is going to finally take over, and we'll see an end to call centers and manual based customer support and move more into chatbots and voice bots.
Okay. And how do you plan to accelerate on this digital journey in terms of being prepared maybe for the next 3 years? Now we have added WhatsApp. Now, so what's next? I mean, on the roadmap, what do you plan to go ahead with?
So typically when you purchase a vehicle, you go through a lot of processes. For instance, you take a test ride, you compare it with other brands, you make a booking, then you end up doing purchase. So our plan, so there are multiple processes, close to 25 to 30, and in case of electric vehicles, more than 50 individual transactions and processes that you have to keep in mind before you purchase. Our plan is to sort of individually pick up the processes, benchmark it to the best in industry, and move it over the relevant digital platforms, WhatsApp, where the case is required.
Okay. So those were some questions, we wanted to check with Rudhira. Do you have any questions for Rudhira in terms of what she just spoke about or what presentation I just covered? Yeah, please.
Hi.
Hi.
What I wanted to understand is, in a space where an automobile is being purchased, irrespective of the fact it's a two-wheeler or a four-wheeler, in the Indian market ecosystem, this is probably the most difficult decision. It's probably the most sought-after decision that a person typically buys and makes from a consumer standpoint. Like, I will evaluate 3,000 different people. I will evaluate all friends, etc., and then arrive at a decision. And the decision process is not something which happens overnight. Like in an e-commerce space, it's a very impulse buy. Whereas in in the space that you're in, how
it's a very thought out process.
Long process. Very long process. Very thought out process. And at any given point of time, this process can stop just because one sort of a fact which is probably misconstrued by the consumer and just comes across. Say probably galat WhatsApp forward pad liya, bola ab nahi kharidna.
Bilkul.
So, in a scenario like this, how is the industry like yours trying to use WhatsApp constructively, creatively, and not from a bottom funnel perspective, but from keeping the user engaged and also insulated from the misinformation that is available around.
Right, sure.
You mentioned about the EV. Now, over the last 2 quarters, we've been seeing a lot of reports around EV going to bust, going to flames, etc.
Yeah.
Now, the entire EV market is being looked in the second lenses, right?
Right.
Is this even ready for the Indian ecosystem? So, how is it that you are using WhatsApp as a channel, or probably digital communication as a channel, to sort of insulate the user? One, and second, how do you sort of ensure that the user is not sort of breaking away? Because the entire CAC to actually making a purchase, like a prospect to a lead to a consumer and to finally a buyer, that journey would be tremendously difficult if every user sort of just bounces off because of misinformation. So how is this coming for you guys?
Sure. So see, a lot of industries have certain constraints in terms of how digital they can go, right? And automotive is one of them, and that's primarily because of the way we sell. We don't sell directly, we sell it via our channel partners, right? So because of this situation, we cannot go completely online. There will always be an element where you will have to have a human touch, an interactive touch. Let's say a person at the dealership, or maybe in some cases a call from the call center is required. While I foresee the call center bit may fade away, but that interaction with the sales executive and sort of him placating you and telling you things, that is something that just cannot be replaced. I'll give you an example. A lot of automotive firms did foray into e-commerce, and you would see bikes being sold via Flipkart and all of that, and that just didn't work out because हर कुछ डिजिटल नहीं हो सकता है. सो दैट इज व्हाई व्हाट यू आर सेइंग इज वेरी वैलिड. ये बहुत बड़ा इन्वेस्टमेंट है, बड़ा परचेज. अभी रियल एस्टेट आप कभी सोचते हो कि आप घर पे 2-4 फ्लैट्स देखोगे एंड ऐड टू कार्ट करोगे. सो दिस इज जस्ट लाइक वन ऑफ देम. लग्जरी सेगमेंट इज आल्सो लाइक दैट वेयर यू विल नीड दैट हैंड होल्डिंग एंड यू विल नीड दैट कम्युनिकेशन. व्हाट्सएप पे हम कैसे कर रहे हैं? अभी हम नहीं कर रहे हैं. अभी हमारा सिर्फ सर्विस बुकिंग और छोटे छोटे प्रोसेसेस हैं. बट आपका पॉइंट बहुत वैलिड है. दिस इज समथिंग दैट नीड्स टू बी टेकन केयर कि ऑन व्हाट्सएप यू कैन how do you alleviate those doubts, and it cannot simply be कि जो आप offline कर रहे हो you sort of modify it and do it on WhatsApp. It just cannot be that. You have to now think completely different. So that's a good food for thought.